Take me back to the old dirt road where Mama and Papa used to go. Let's sing all them songs from a long time ago and pine for them old days of yore. Well, let me run through the breeze like the leaves on the trees. Let me fly like the leaves when they fall. Well, let my mind go serene like a cool water stream that runs from the mountain so tall. Oh, take me back down the old dirt road. Take me home to rest where the mockingbirds nest and the cry in the stream. Let's go back a ways to the old bygone days and the simple time we lived back then. Well, let the pull of the plow bring the sweat from my brow and the glow of the fire pull me home. Let me wind down my days in the sweet dust and clay. Take me back down the old dirt road. Oh, take me back down the old dirt road. Take me back down the old dirt road.
Man, do I feel gypped on this one. $50 for one of these winterization kits. And it's got to be the cheapest quality material I've ever seen in my life. I guess it's not that cheap. I guess, you know, by the time you fit in all these fittings, I don't know, maybe it's a fair deal. Anyway, I mentioned before that I kind of felt like this year was going to be a year for ice storms. And right now we actually have the potential, might help if I follow the arrows. Right now we actually have the potential for an ice storm coming through here over the night time. So we have been doing just a lot of things on the homestead to try and clean up and get things under shelters before we really kind of hit some icy weather. Ice can do, you know, a real number on things. It's not like rain. I'm used to rain getting on things, but ice, I don't like ice in general. I just don't like it. So what I'm doing right now is just winterizing our boat. This is kind of the last thing on my list as far as like what immediately needs to get done, what's pertinent. But over the last couple days we did quite a bit of work. We had a Shelter Logic. I don't know if you guys have ever used one of those. It's like the tent garage. And you're probably wondering, would I recommend a tent garage? I would recommend a tent garage to no man. But if you have to get one, I guess Shelter Logic is the creme de whatever, you know, the top of the line. The Shelter Logic actually made it through Hurricane Isaias. I still can't say that name, and I've said it several times on videos. It made it through that hurricane just fine, but then we had just a thunderstorm with a small microburst, and it literally lifted it up, folded it in half, and just trashed the whole thing. So I made a few modifications to it. I rebuilt, or I resupported all of the joints that got bent out of shape, and then I actually took T-posts and drove them into the ground after I got the thing set up, and then zip tied the entire tent structure to those T-posts with a ton of zip ties. I'd like to use pipe clamps, but pipe clamps are kind of expensive. I might as well just go buy another Shelter Logic. So I used some zip ties, I did the redneck fix, and I think it's gonna hold up just fine, at least for this, you know, ice storm, maybe even longer if we're lucky. I mean, we paid 250 bucks for it. Don't even get me started on that story, because, man, we bought it at Tractor Supply, and when we got it, it was missing half its parts. I mean, didn't even have the canopy. We called Shelter Logic first, because you know how they always say don't return to the store? Call Shelter Logic or whoever it is if there's a problem with this product. So we call them up and we say, hey, we bought this at Tractor Supply. It's missing all of its parts. We're missing part of the posts, and the entire canopy is gone, which is kind of the whole point of buying a shelter, is to have the canopy that covers everything. Shelter Logic refused to help us with it. So we ended up going back to Tractor Supply, who agreed to replace it with another one. But as you can imagine, due to the coronavirus, it took us like 3 months to get the new one in. And so we only actually had it up for Hurricane Isaias and that thunderstorm. And I know you would do this too, because we're a lot alike, right? So after that thing completely got thrashed, I just moved everything out of it and said the heck with it. But now that we're getting into the winter time, we're getting winter weather, we needed a way to get our lawnmower up out of the more severe weather. We needed a way to get our four-wheeler out of the severe weather, so we went ahead and fixed it. But man, I tell you, moving that four-wheeler after having it sit for several months is never easy. Thank you, ethanol, by the way, for destroying every motor I have ever owned. I'm really glad that Biden brought back Tom Vilsack, who is the ethanol king. The king of biofuels is back to the USDA. Thank you. So I considered doing a how-to video on this, but I have no idea what I'm doing, which is why I stopped doing how-to videos in the first place. There's too many amazing people out there that watch how-to videos that know how to do it better than the video that they're watching. Personally, I've always wondered, why are they watching the video if they know how to do it? But this is just a boat winterizer kit. made by Camco. I bought it off of Amazon. It's like 40 something bucks, but if you consider, you know, all the fittings and the hoses and, you know, the design in and of itself, it's really not that bad of a deal, I don't think. The biggest issue I have is paying 500 bucks to the local marina to do this job for me when I can easily do it myself. And I've just got some RV and marine antifreeze, which I'm putting into this jug that comes with it. And then we'll screw it on. We should be able to just start the motor up. I think I have some engine fogger somewhere. If I do, I'm gonna spray that in there while it's running. I'm not gonna go through the process of stabilizing my fuel because likely what I'm gonna do in the spring is pull the fuel out of it. I reuse my old fuel in ways that I'm not gonna tell you on YouTube because I don't wanna get a carbon fine. Old ethanol is still good for something. Anyway, so I'll use that old fuel in different ways around our farm and probably clean out the carburetor. I'm gonna do kind of a lot of work to this in the spring, I think, just to have the boat running a lot smoother for next year. We didn't get a tune-up last year. I haven't paid for a tune-up or winterization now for a couple of years. Last year, to do the winterization, I actually took the coolant and put it directly into the motor and just squeeze the tubing to push it around. It surprisingly worked pretty well. The only issue that you have with that is you can get it into the motor, you can get it around the motor enough to keep the motor from freezing and cracking the block, but you can't get it into the outdrive, and that's expensive as well. Here is my emergency heat source when I don't get around to winterizing the boat on time and it gets below freezing. I just take one of these heat strips and plug it in and throw it down into the engine compartment because all I need is to keep the warmth up a few degrees. I don't have to get it too high, but now that we're getting down into the 20s at night, that system's not going to really work as well, especially when you have long days below 40. But in the early winter, when you still have days that are like 55, 60 degrees, something like that works great. You know, the ambient temperature inside the engine compartment isn't going to freeze enough to crack your block until you get to where we are about now, where you start getting your days no warmer than 40, 45, and then you've got these temperatures at night dipping down to like 20. All right, so I've got my hose coming in, and I've got the hose that came with the kit coming out and going into my ears. The ears do not come with the kit, so if you get one of these, make sure you get some ears. And now I guess we just turn this on. It'll start pumping water through the same as it would if I were running it straight off the hose. And then once I start the boat up, I'll turn this off and this on, and that will push the coolant down and through the motor. But you have to wait until your motor's thermostat actually starts to go up a little bit. And then I've got about 4 gallons of RV marine coolant in here. So there's enough in there to get this thing going, and then I guess you shut it off and it's full. But first I'm gonna go see if I can find some engine fogger. I tell you guys what, I am a cursed man when it comes to motors and tires. I'm just permanently cursed. If I leave something sitting for more than a week, It does not start, and the tires are flat, without fail. Okay, my temperature is slowly starting to move up here. That's what I've been waiting for. And now I'll go ahead and start working on the rest of this project. You need that to start going up before you turn on your coolant to make sure that you get enough of it in there. And I'm going to go ahead and run my coolant for a little while to make sure I get a lot of it into the motor and get it mixed all around in there. So you can see I ran this thing down pretty low. There wasn't much coolant left to make it down that hose. That way I made sure that I got coolant all the way up through that motor in there. You can see that. You can see the pink on the ground. I tried to watch it the best I could from down here, but then I also had to get up there and get that spray in the motor, which didn't go as smoothly as I was hoping it would. But I think that's pretty much it for right now. I just need to get this thing covered and then move everything away from the power lines. Because that's, when we have freezing rain, that's one of the biggest threats that we have, is the rain will weigh down the power lines because it freezes and sticks to the power lines. And as that happens, the power lines get real heavy, power lines snap, and you have all sorts of messes in freezing rain. And so that's, I'm not sure that we're going to get freezing rain. There's going to be freezing rain. There's advisory alerts in our county. But my theory for this winter is that it's going to be very similar to 1934 and 2013, kind of a cross between those. The solar minimum mixed in there does create a variation that could make a messy second half of the winter. But for right now, I'm just expecting a lot of icy type storms coming through here this year. And that is why, you got to be prepared for that stuff. Your power goes out. Sometimes it can take days, weeks. I remember one year in Charlotte it taking months to get the power back on in some areas because we got hit by an ice storm, then we got hit by a snowstorm, then we got hit by an ice storm. It was a mess. But this year I'm kind of expecting things to be a little mild, but on the icy side. So I've got a lot of work to do here. Sorry, I keep looking up at the boat because I know I have to go up there and work. Telling you. Cursed.
Take me back to the old dirt road where Mama and Papa used to go.